January 10, we were up at 1 a.m. to drive an hour to the yard where our building was already loaded on a truck ready to move. We followed it all the way back and watched while they maneuvered it around the corner and up the lane. If you want to see video clips of this, go to Judy's Project's YouTube and select Judy's House Project Episode 3, House Moving Highlights. That has all the video clips from this procedure. It was quite a job getting it around that 90-degree turn and over the fence at the same time. They had that building lifted to the maximum capacity of the trailer, and those poor tires really took a hammering. You can see the marks on the road where it has zigzagged back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth with the maximum steering that the rear wheels could do. Then they pulled it up the lane a few meters and they had to repeat the whole process over again to reverse it back onto the property where it would eventually stay. In the process, we discovered that somehow we had mismeasured and we had not allowed enough space between the last of the sheds and the fence for the size of the garage that we wanted. That took a little bit of juggling, but they put the building in as close to the shed as they could possibly get it, and we adjusted the plans for the garage and worked with the council on the spot to make it all happen and make it all work right. As soon as the transport team was done, the guys with the jacks came in and jacked the house up on huge hydraulic jacks so that the trailer could be pulled out from under the house. Now that was a job in itself, as the trailer had to be zigzagged back and forth as it contracted itself into a smaller size to be able to pull out from under the house. It pulled out, they had huge metal I-beams across the trailer which they pulled out. And while that was all going on, the construction team had come in to start drilling the pile holes and getting ready to pour the concrete around those. To mark the holes, they found a spot under the house where the pile needed to sit, dropped a golf ball onto the ground, and then marked the spot with pink paint. And then the guys would come in and drill the holes and scoop out the excess soil at the bottom of the holes. And this is the truck getting ready to leave. Then they came around and placed the piles in the holes, put up strings to make sure they ended up nice and straight. About lunchtime, the concrete truck arrived. And if you want to see more video clips of this, that's also in the House Moving Highlights Episode 3 of Judy's House Project. It wasn't too long before the piles were starting to stand up and looking nice and straight. It took 101 piles to hold that building up. On Tuesday morning, the construction team came in to lower the house and secure it to the piles. They cut a bunch of shims with a chainsaw and they used those to make sure that the house was dead level. Put in a whole bunch of Z nails and bolted in brackets, and by lunchtime they pretty much had the house all secured. Our job that day was to remove all the door handles and take them to town to get new ones, because the house didn't come with any keys. We had to cut this door handle off. Sawzalls can be very handy. Wednesday was the first day we were allowed inside the building, and we made good use of the time to have a good cleanup and bring in a few bits of furniture and some supplies that we had been collecting. We also took out the old desks and frames to make room for some of the supplies that we had to bring in, and made a bunch more room in Mum and Dad's garage. These are boxes of tools that we would need. We also started taking off the old outlet covers and brought in some of the kitchen packets. We smoothed out some of the soil in front of the house left over from the piles so that we could put some pallets in front to make access to the front door a little easier. It would be a long time before we actually had steps there. And in the meantime, we started opening up the walls. There were several walls that had to be removed and replaced with new walls in different locations. 3 sections of the north-south walls between the wall nubs had to be taken out so that we could put new walls in at the ends of the wall nubs and make those rooms larger. We also took out the carpets and the tack strips. This was our first meal in our new house. A lot of mess to clean up, but we recycled everything we possibly could. The old carpets were used as well. New door handle. A couple of the old sliding doors. My parents spent many hours pulling nails and stacking timber. Finally, our first shipment of new timber arrived, and we used this for framing up some of the new walls. Building supplies were hard to get and expensive because of COVID shipping restrictions and stuff like that. But God was good, and we managed to get everything we needed when we needed it. We did reuse virtually all of the timber that we took out of that building, everything that was usable for sure, including the trim and door frames and just about everything we could salvage. We removed the old fire hose, which we still have. And by the end of the week, we were able to check off several things on our flowchart.